Hey guys, what's going on? It's Mark with Spiguyver Backpacking. Tonight it is another wet night out here. It has been raining most of the afternoon. It rained all day yesterday. Seems that the rain never seems to end here. But I do have other videos that I can do other than the hammock how-to, and so that's what I'm doing tonight. I've got footage from the foothills trip that we went on with the Tokes wood stove. So tonight we're going to talk a little about that. So this is the Toaks titanium wood stove. Now this one is the large one. They do have two sizes, the large and the small. And it is about the size of a 12 cm pot, maybe a little bit smaller than that, maybe a 900, like a Snow Peak 900. I think if I remember correctly, this will fit inside of that. But it comes with two little pieces that make up the pot stand. So these go together and then clip down onto the top. And then it's really made up of three pieces. So you have these two, which end up going together like this. And then you have this piece, which this sets down in. Then if you want to use the pot stand, it goes on top like that. Now, the pot stand is not necessary, and I would say that if you're using anything above a 10 cm width pot, it sits on top very nicely and does not require this. My 10 cm pot would fit on here, but I was a little bit worried that it may shift and get a little bit tippy, so I put these on and it worked great for this trip. Now you can see all the air holes in here. So you have the holes down here in the bottom. You have the holes in the bottom of the burn chamber. You have these holes up here in the top of the burn chamber, which creates a flow of air pulling up and pulling in. And then the air also flows in these holes, and then you've got some vents up on the top and a pretty nice hole to feed it with. So the weight on this is 7.9 ounces. So it's not super light, but it's also not all that heavy. And because of the fact that you can find the fuel while you're on the trail and don't have to take the fuel with you, might make up for that difference between this and something a little bit lighter. I think that, like I had mentioned with the Tato Gear titanium burning wood stove, or titanium wood burning stove, the payoff is when you have a long trip where you're out on the trail for a long period of time. It's going to, at some point, tip the scales. This one will take a little bit longer because of the 7.9 ounce penalty there, whereas some of the others, and I believe the small one is in the 3.6 ounce range, somewhere around there. So there is a smaller version of this, but I have seen some reviews that say that it doesn't burn as well. So the way that I used this, I had heard some people talk about having trouble getting it started and keeping it going. So the way that I used it was I pretty much had it down to just this piece here, and I packed it full of sticks standing upright. So like my fingers in here, just packed it completely full. Not to the point where it was tight, but so that it was full. And then I had it all assembled, and I had it so that it didn't, just so you're aware, I had it so it didn't come up over by too much, maybe an inch at most. So I had it all in here, and then I put a cotton ball soaked with Vaseline in, lit it, and then threw a bunch of little tiny twigs on top to get the fire going. And once I did that, I had no problem. 3 times I had this thing started, and 3 times it started absolutely no problem whatsoever. I also did let it go out and then threw more sticks in to see whether or not it would stoke itself if there was enough airflow. There is one little thing to be concerned about, and that's the distance between the bottom of this and this is about maybe a quarter inch, maybe not even a quarter inch. So if you're setting it on soft ground, there is a likelihood that you're going to smother the airflow coming through the bottom. So if you can find something hard to set this on, or even some twigs or rocks to rest it on, while that's probably not your first choice, that will help to keep the airflow going through the bottom and keep it burning the way that I had mine burning. Worked out really well. So this one was sent to me by Warren at Cedar Ridge Outfitters to try out. He said, "Hey, you want to try this thing out?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going out on this trip. I think it would work out good. Let's do that. Send it to me. I'll try it out. I'll do a comparison to the Tato Gear one." And so he sent it to me, used it, and rather than sending it back, I said, "Hey, how about I pay you for it?" So I now am the proud owner of this Toaks titanium wood burning stove. So it'll get some more use, some more long-term testing. So let's go ahead and check out how it worked for me while we were out on this trip. Let's go. So I'm going to give something a try this morning. Not sure how well it's going to work out, but I really want to give this a try. I looked online. I didn't see anyone else doing it. I just boiled up some water. I'm going to be making myself some coffee. As the flames die down and the embers really sit down there emitting a bunch of heat, I'll keep stoking it slightly, but not enough so that there's huge amounts of flame there. And I really want to see whether or not we can dry bake over a wood stove. So that's what we're going to give a try today. Like I said, I don't think I've seen it done before. I've got to wait for the wood that's in there to kind of burn down. I'll probably throw some more in there, let it burn down just to get a good hot bed of coals that we can kind of do it over. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this experiment goes. So I'm going to finish up this coffee and then get this thing set up for doing some dry baking, mix up my muffins and get it on. I've got the stove is kind of burning down, which is what I was hoping for. Good hot bed of coals. I'm going to use that rather than the flames to try and do this baking. So let me get this stuff all set up and I'll come back and show you guys. All right, so I have the muffin on right now and the coals are pretty hot. So we're going to see. I'm thinking 20 to 40 minutes probably for this thing. Mixed it up. It's in there. You can see it's in there. It's not exactly even in there. I didn't bring anything to space it, so I just grabbed some pebbles, threw them in the bottom, and set my inside pot on top of that. Like I said, I have not seen this done before. I looked online before coming out here. Hadn't seen anyone doing it. I know that it brought that full pot to a boil last night when it was really roaring pretty quickly, like well under 10 minutes, which is what a lot of people were getting with theirs. So I did not want the flames there. So I figured get a good bed of coals in there, maybe stoke it once in a while just to keep it going. But I knew that last night after cooking, it took a long time for all the coals to go away and for it to cool down, like an hour. So I figured it would have some good heat there going. I'm going to let it go for at least 10 minutes, then just kind of check if anything's starting to happen, see if I need to stoke it at all. But we're gonna give this a go, see what happens. Okay, so now about 20 minutes in to baking on this thing, and hasn't been a whole lot of movement. My muffin mix was a little bit runny, so that could be playing a little bit of a part to it. I did stoke the fire once, got some more red coals in there, just trying to do everything I can to keep this thing going. It does look like it's putting off a good amount of heat. I hold my hand over it and it's pretty warm. So I'm gonna keep letting it go and see what we come up with. I'll take you guys in a little bit closer to show you the coals in there. And you can see down in there, the coals are nice and red and pretty hot. You can see down through there. Now, with the way that this is set up, you've got an inner can in there, and these air holes come in, and there's air holes inside of that inner vent, and there's air holes all on the bottom that feed up. And then you'll actually see, it almost looks like the air coming in here hits those superheated gases, and that's what ignites and comes up. So it is actually really cool. It's got this big feed opening right here where you can feed in more fuel as it's going. And it comes with these little pot stands. If you have a bigger pot, this one's only a 10 cm. If you had a 12 cm, it could sit right on top without needing these. But this has worked out really well. You can tell that some of the wood I put in on this when I restoked it was pretty sooty, and it's got some black to it. But I'll just go down to the river and wash everything off afterwards after we're done, so that it doesn't get all over my pack. So it looks like we're starting to get a little bit of action here, and I may have filled my muffin because it's coming up and it's actually touched the top. But you can see it's starting to grow. I have Crisco shortening, kind of coating the entire outside of that so that it keeps it nice and oiled, so that it doesn't stick to the pan. I just threw a bunch of little fat pieces of wood in here to try and stoke it up again, just to keep the heat up a little bit. But it's working. Oh, so again, I went a little too high, and it looks like it is getting pretty close. You can see it stuck to the lid a little bit, but if you look down inside where it pulled it off, it looks like it's done in the middle, and it looks like it's separating from the sides pretty well. So I'm going to pull it off of the heat now. Just let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. Let it finish cooking with the heat that's just residually in there, and then we'll pull it out and see how this thing looks. I mean, this was over a wood stove, totally an experiment, something I was going to try out because I hadn't seen other people do it. Yes, I filled it a little too much, and so it expanded, it rose, and reached the pot lid, but dude, give me a break. That's awesome. Got the muffin out. I've actually thrown some more wood in here, got this back on so that I could get some hot chocolate on for Dylan. He's still asleep, but I'm gonna get him up soon. So let's take a look at this muffin and see, first of all, if it will come out of here. Oh. So we do have a little bit of remnants in there, but nothing bad. And you can see it's got some golden flecks on there. Actually looks pretty good. Holds together pretty well. Feels pretty dense, pretty moist, so I think Dylan's gonna like it. So we just cooked dinner using this Tokes wood stove. You can see it burned down pretty well. I actually wanted to try letting it go out, and then I tossed a bunch of sticks in, and it lit right up again, and did a really good job. So I'm actually really pleased with it. I like it. So you guys saw me use the Toaks titanium wood stove. I did some comparisons. I kind of talked about the Tato gear and how I thought the two of them compared. But what I really liked was how I could restoke that one, and then the fact that I was able to dry bake with it. I don't think, because of the way that the Tato gear one thoroughly just burned through the wood, I don't think I could get a hot bed of coals the way that I did with the Toaks and let it sit there and use that to bake and keep restoking it over the course of about 45 minutes just by tossing a couple of few little
stubby sticks in there and let them smolder and create more of a red golden glow down there. I like it. I would not have reached back out to Warren and said, hey, can I buy this one from you? Maybe that was part of his game all along, was send me something to test, knowing that once I got the test done, I'm a gearaholic and I would end up purchasing it. Yeah. Maybe I need to rethink this whole gear testing thing. Maybe I've got a problem. What do you guys think? Anyway, I'm going to continue to enjoy it. I think it's really cool to take out when I've got my kids with me. It's great because it kind of is a little artificial campfire. If I'm not in the mood, and a lot of times I don't like building campfires when we're out in the woods, it is a little mini campfire, especially if I'm letting it build up and go. You know, it's pretty cool. And even Dylan mentioned it. He mentioned that, you know, he liked the campfire. So I think I'll keep using it, probably on trips when the kids go with me, when I'm packing a little bit heavier. I may try it out on a longer trip just to see, can I get away with a multi-day trip just using wood, not carrying any fuel with me other than some of the cotton balls that are soaked in Vaseline just as a fire starter. And I may try not using those for a few days and see if I can still get just as good and just as easy of a flame going. I think that I found the perfect way to pack it when you pack it with the sticks all standing up and really pack it just not completely tight, but fill that entire burn chamber and then make the fire on top. It really did work well. I thought that it ignited well and it got it going and continued to burn very well. Once I got it started, I had no issues with it whatsoever, and it wasn't difficult the way that I did it. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Keep checking me out. I've got lots of reviews coming up, lots of new gear, lots of cool stuff. Still doing the hammock how-to videos, so keep checking it out, man. I've got stuff coming you're gonna wanna see. Thanks guys, I'll see you down the trail.